Part of this race for me was to just kind of, find myself. And I don't want to say anything's changed since I did the race. I can't say, wow, my life is completely different. But I think I've gotten a clearer picture of what I want to do, a clearer picture of how I want to treat people, hopefully motivating someone to make themselves better. They see me pushing my own limits. Hopefully they push theirs a little bit. I hope I've helped motivate people in that way. That would be something that's really good.
The race across America is underway. As racers navigate the first 23 miles on their own, crews line up along Old Castle Road, awaiting their first glimpse. Here, they'll begin a process of leapfrogging their racers while handing off replenished water bottles. Seeing how Dave was one of the last solos to start, his crew got to watch as other teams attempted their handoffs. They learned that watching and doing are two different things.
Thank you. Shit.
And although this attempt didn't go well, they'll have hundreds more opportunities throughout the race.
We left Oceanside, which was just a beautiful day, it was nice. But then on the climbs, as we started climbing, it was much warmer than I thought it was going to be.
As Dave made his way through the Puma Valley, temperatures were topping 101 degrees.
Not warm, but it's going to start to get out. And I thought I would be able to move up through the field and get right up into that lead group quickly, but it was pretty hot, and I was moving through people, but not as fast as I wanted. So it was still a little bit of a struggle with that heat that I had experienced climbing.
At this point, the crew will leapfrog Dave until 7 p.m. when mandatory follow is in effect.
Once we got to maybe the descent of Borrego Springs and then on the road, then I felt really good and really strong. There was a crash on Borrego Springs, which kind of put a little scare in me, right? It brings the race back into reality as a racer had crashed. And I had to kind of steer around that crash to get through the traffic.
Dave's crew was stuck behind the emergency vehicles, while Dave and other riders made their way down the glass elevator.
At that point, I lost my crew vehicle, and they had to, put out a second crew vehicle once we hit the bottom of Borrego Springs.
About 10 miles outside of Borrego Springs, the two crews reunited. They immediately prepped for a bike switch and crew changeover.
Friends always think you don't have to.
The bike switch ran smoothly. With the new crew, Dave settled in for his first evening.
That brought in a reality, but then I was pretty good and felt pretty strong, all the way through the night.
Assembled at their pre-race headquarters, a scenic Airbnb in Carlsbad, California, Team 288 consists of a collection of past team members, RAAM veterans, and old friends. This group of individuals began to get to know each other as a crew, while over the next couple days they assembled the equipment and the vehicles. As a crew and as individuals, they've come from around the country to support a man taking on a monumental task.
I'm a bike shop owner. I wanted to always own my own business and ended up finding something I'm super passionate about and in both cycling and skiing. That led me to bike, and as I've been in that business, I've just gotten into it even more, right? The coolness of the bikes and the technology and the rides and different rides and seeing these races all over the country. It really kind of gets me excited to think about all the different styles of riding: mountain biking, gravel racing, endurance long races, solo races, team races. So it's just that passion, I think, has grown over time from just being in the cycling industry. I've been cycling since I was, well, my whole life really cycling, but seriously cycling and racing since I was 25. So I'm going to say like 26 years of serious cycling. And I've been doing some ultra cycling since really probably 2000. So that would make it about 19 years where I've gotten into doing some longer distance ultra cycling. I started riding my bike and doing longer distances. Really what motivated me is I was pretty good at it, I found out. As I did a few longer races, I had some success and I liked to do longer rides. So I would ride to a group ride and then ride home from a group ride, which would turn into a 150-mile ride. And it was like, man, I really like this. So I liked the fast part of the group ride going racing and that kind of stuff, but I also liked the long distance part where I could just settle in and ride my bike.
At 51 years old, this isn't Dave's first attempt at the Race Across America.
As I get ready to do this 7th race, the goal is to win the race. I think that's been my goal every race I've done, from a DNF to a 4th and a 3rd and a 2nd place finish. It's always been to be here to win the race, and that hasn't changed. I think we're trying to race for perfection, right? We've had issues in every race that have affected the outcome of the race, and we're trying to improve upon those even as I've gotten older.
In an attempt to achieve that perfect race, the team is implementing a whole slew of technology to both monitor Dave's vitals and receive real-time information about the route.
My devices help me during the race by, one, not wasting effort, right? I can see where I'm at and I can ride to a level that is hard but not too hard. Everyone on the crew is very aware of the temperatures that we have and my power output that I have that we're seeing on the devices. And then using some Connect IQ apps that have been developed, they can monitor way more stuff like my core temperature. And so I'm wearing a few other devices that connect up through Garmin Connect IQ.
Prior to the race, Dave has been large and in charge, leading the crew as they prepare. But once the race starts, he'll turn over all decisions to them while he focuses on just riding.
To make sure my crew knows, so we don't waste a single moment of time out on the course, what they want. And I'll give them all of the direction in the world leading up to the race. I have a crew that is, some are experienced and some aren't at all, but there's a lot of communication because everyone wants to do their best job. So there's a lot of questions I'm trying to explain to people. Or sometimes you have a crew that you say, I want this and I want this and this. But I want to do that all now, because once the race starts, I go out of that mode. And it's please and thank you for the water you're handing me. I would love this jersey on. And so I'm thankful and grateful that they're all along. And at that point, I don't want any control of the race, right? It's just ride my bike. And all of the decisions that are being made by my nurses, like Keelyn and Nicki, who are my nurses to keep me healthy, I rely on them to make those decisions. And I want them to make decisions based on where we're gonna be on the course, making sure we get the right rest for the crew. I don't want to deal with any of that. I hop on the bike and I pedal, right? And I pedal as fast as I can pedal at an effort that seems reasonable as I'm, looking at my, my power and things. And I like to ride my bike. So literally, I don't have to worry about anything. It's not like I need to keep track of my hydration. My crew does that. So all I do is sit on my bike and go forward as fast as I can. And they pull up and hand me a water bottle when it's time, as they're counting calories and keeping track of that. They're doing their job to navigate the course. They're making sure they get the sleep they need. So really all I have to literally do is pedal my bike. It happens to be about 3,100 miles, you know, it's nonstop pretty much. I'm gonna get saddle sores, I'm gonna have pain, I'm gonna have all of these issues, but my crew is gonna help solve all of those. And it's a continuous effort by the crew to make sure I just ride my bike across the country. And so I like to keep it that simple.
Racers and crew from around the world have assembled in Oceanside, California, at the pier. This is the starting line for the 2019 Race Across America. Team 288 has staged in the pre-race crew parking area with the rest of the support vehicles.
Right, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, it's gonna be good.
As Dave's starting time quickly approaches, he rides up to the pier along a line of crew vehicles waiting for their turn to begin the race. The racers depart in a staggered start. Each racer leaves 1 minute apart. In the last moments of calm, before he begins his 3,000-mile journey, Dave reflects on what helped bring him here today.
Were those special texts, or are you just taking care of business at this point?
No, those were, special. So I got a friend who is sponsored the time station, a young kid who turned out to be an amazing guy. And he sponsored my time station. I was just letting him know I was ready to start. And then I had a friend text me his brother passed away way too soon and said he'd be along on my shoulder for the race. And I was just checking in with all the special people that have been in my life that aren't anymore, who maybe have done this race or are a part of my life. And it became a pretty special moment all of a sudden. So, you know, I got a few of them, you know, my friend Gerard, I got my mother, of course, I got Dan Rupar, my Uncle Keith just passed away, so there's a lot of people that Scott is definitely a RAAM racer who went too soon, and so there's a lot of people like that you think about when you're racing, and it just moved me that I'm lucky enough to be here racing, and I know they're going to be out there making sure I finish strong.
As he moves into the second day of the race, Dave's welcomed to Arizona by the scorching sun.
Thought I was pretty good and felt pretty strong, you know, all the way through the night, and maybe into the early morning parts of the day. But then again, once the sun came out, it got really hot again. Not liking this heat.
Not liking it?
Separated throughout the night, the entire crew reunites in the parking lot of a small local grocery store in the town of Taos, Arizona.
Thanks.
As the day shift moves their gear into the follow vehicle, Dave comes riding up.
Yeah,
right,
that bike.
Right here.
It's good to go.
I just gotta pick up stuff.
Sweet. We're golden, we'll be faster now.
In an effort to keep his core temperature down, the crew uses a bra to hold a bag of ice close to his chest.
The heat affects my performance dramatically, so as soon as my core body temperature rises up to about 102, 103, my performance and power start to decline. And we can see that on the Garmin, and we can see that on the dashboard that the crew uses. Oh my God, this feels so much better.
Yeah.
Dave will begin a gradual climb as he makes his way through Salome, Arizona, and into Time Station 6 in Congress. the heat continues to rise as he leaves US 60 and turns north onto State Route 71 towards Prescott. Just 24 more miles to Congress.
So I really wanted to push that 40-hour point before I slept, which would have probably taken me, nearly to Flagstaff.
The combination of heat and fatigue took its toll, and the decision was made. Go shorter today and longer tomorrow.
I was gonna try to do, 40 hours and then do 24. But I'm not getting anywhere in the heat.
I wasn't riding as fast as I wanted, and I was feeling pretty fatigued, and the heat had really taken a toll on my body. So I think at that point it was the best decision was to stop in Congress for a little bit of rest and sleep and hopefully get to a little bit cooler weather.
This heat is killing me.
The crew assembled in what little shade they could find in the town of Congress.
We hit Congress, I think it was 114 degrees, and I was struggling in the heat a little bit.
Under a small tree, they created a tiny oasis, complete with a little pool to soak his feet.
When we hit Congress, I had a little wading pool there waiting for me in ice, and we packed myself full of ice to cool my core temperature down, but it was still 114 degrees outside.
The goal is to get his core temperature down and allow him to rest during the hottest part of the day.
Thank you, everyone.
You guys are a good team.
Ever humble, Dave feels inadequate, stopping prior to his projected time.
Part of this race. But we also know how you are the rest of the race. So we just have to get you through here in good shape, and everybody else is dealing with the same heat. And then you shine in other ways as we go through the country that other people who are maybe pushing through the heat aren't going to. Should we get you inside?
Keelyn consoled and encouraged him prior to putting him to sleep.
Take a cat nap, or are
Yeah,
you thinking
no.
a 2-hour break here?
Yeah, 2-hour break.
Down for 40? At 140?
Yep.
Okay.
And then we'll try to go 30 hours tomorrow
Yeah.
instead of 24. Right?
Yep. Yep.
While Dave was recovering, the crew performed some maintenance and service on his equipment. Dan, the mechanic, went over the bike like a precision instrument.
Right now this is the bike Dave's going to get on when he goes back out. He rode it last night. Everything should be good, but I want to give it a once over. New batteries and the lights, front and rear. Wipe things down. I already checked the brakes, double checked all the shifting's good, clean the chain. I will lube it.
2 hours are up, and so is Dave, getting dressed and prepping to get back on the bike.
Dave, your core temp came down 4 degrees while you were in there. Yeah, we're keeping track of his skin temp, his core temp, his heart rate and breathing rate, and it came down a good 4 degrees while he's been in here cooling off.
The technology gives the team feedback on the value of the stop. Ready to saddle up, Dave looks like a futuristic visitor to this desert landscape.
Your bike's ready. Are you ready? Yeah. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
He also seems optimistic about this upcoming section of the route, when he'll climb over 1,800 feet in the next 8 miles into the town of Yarnell, Arizona. Back en route and headed towards Time Station 7 in Prescott, Dave has 50 miles to cover in one of the toughest climbing sections of the race.
Make sure and spend a little more time behind me. Okay.
So we stopped thinking we'd have cooler weather, and then we had to climb over Yarnell Grade into Prescott.
While the Arizona sun continues to beat down on him, Dave climbs 1,800 feet over the next 7 miles into the town of Yarnell, Arizona.
As I was climbing, when I looked down, it was 119 in the middle of Yarnell grade.
Dave gets a slight reprieve as he descends into Peoples Valley. But once he passed the Kirkland Junction, he began another monster climb of over 2,000 feet into Iron Springs.
Keep it up.
After a day of hard climbing in the heat, Dave's rewarded with a cool descent into Prescott. Time Station 7 is in a Walmart parking lot where the crew conducted their changeover to the night shift.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that once we start getting towards, because we're starting to climb a little bit more, so it should get a little bit cooler, right? Yeah.
Yeah, with the elevation, the temperature's going to drop,
Okay.
plus night setting up.
Dave would continue his climb in the cooler evening temperatures through the Arizona high desert to the next time station in Flagstaff.
Yeah, that worked well. Okay. Especially that gave me a chance to check what it's technical.
Coffee shop. Here you got 12 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Over the evening, Dave continued to climb through Arizona and is now approaching his team in Flagstaff.
Right on.
Good morning.
Hey.
Using the parking lot as a staging area, the day crew prepares for a shift change.
Dave's doing awesome. I think he's heading in the right direction. The heat did a toll on him yesterday, but I think he's ready to rock and roll.
You know, on our way into Flagstaff, that night I felt really strong, but the temperatures had dropped the opposite way. You know, it was 36 or 37 degrees, which I'm a little more used to that cooler temperature rather than the hotter temperature, and felt great. And you know, the whole rest of that day felt great. You know, the second day was really a pretty good day.
So we went through last night.
That's because I had it on.
It was all hands on deck as both crews changed Dave's gear and prepped his bike. Over the years on RAAM, Dave and his crew discovered a convenient way to relieve himself without having to search for a restroom. Dave's crew created a discreet sheet for Dave to be able to relieve himself anywhere.
That's our big improvement. We went from a blue tarp for 6 years to a discrete sheet.
Would you like a gel on there?
Let's just go. Let's not worry about it.
Let's do like 60.
Well, Dave.
Revived from a cool, crisp night, and with a fresh crew, Dave takes off into a new day as he rides through southern Utah and into Colorado. The mountain peaks and vegetation of the high desert change to red rocks and tumbleweed as he rides through the Four Corners area. This section is composed of vast stretches of iconic scenes from the Wild West. Despite his best efforts, Dave hasn't had a bowel movement since the start of the race. This has been a source of frustration.
I really would love to take a shit.
I take it nothing happened in there?
Nothing. A fart and a pee.
Better than nothing.
Multiple times a day, you go through different states, right? So there's moments when you know, in racing or running or whatever, you kind of hit the wall, right? Your energy's a little low and then something changes and your energy picks up. Your mind state, sometimes you've got too much activity flowing through your mind. So when that happens for me, I just start to focus on the road and breathe, and everything becomes silent.
Evening sank in on Dave as he left Montezuma Creek and crossed the Colorado border. Here, exhaustion started to take its toll as Dave began to hallucinate.
You know, when we came through Utah, heading towards Cortez, as I was getting pretty tired, it felt like there was just this, like a big sheet floating through the air, like a parachute that was just above me. So when I would look up, it was kind of hard to see all the way down the road because it would get in the way, and it wasn't anything at all. And then when I looked off to the side of the road, it just seemed like there was plastic. I think they were flowers on the side of the road, just wildflowers, but it seemed like there was just piles full of plastic and wildflowers all the way along the road for like 100 miles. And obviously I know that wasn't the case either.
Dave continued to struggle as he pushed through the dry wind. The support vehicle stayed close in case he had to go down. Visions of an unknown individual began to dominate Dave's attention.
You know, it was like, is this person looking out for me? Are they making sure I'm safe on the road? Do I know this person? Does a crew member know this person? And no one could come up with an idea, but man, every time I looked out of the side of my eye, there was this person right here. I was trying to think if it was, you know, like a relative looking out over me, or some kind of magic ghost, or a spirit, or an angel, who knows.
This race, I've never seen him this emotional before. Emphasis between his mom passing away and uncle that passed away, which is Jake's father, who's one of the crew. So that has some sentimental value to having his cousin on the trip. But no, it just seems to be very emotional.
Exhausted, hopes of Dave reaching Cortez before he had to go down were dwindling. Suddenly, Dave spots a pair of taillights up the road. Another racer, this one competing in the race across the West, was just ahead. This was all the motivation he needed.
If I see someone up ahead the road that I can catch and move up in place, I always call it chasing carrots, right? I'm a rabbit chasing carrots. And when I first started doing RAAM, Yuri Robich's crew used to call me Hassenpfeffer, the rabbit, you know, and so I like to chase people down. So I was able to catch him. And
Dave beat the exhaustion and regained the energy necessary to make it to Cortez.
You know, the second day was really a pretty good day, and then we got to Cortez, and I think we slept there.
All right, good job.
Good!
Crossing the southern portion of the Rocky Mountains, Dave was about to begin a day of climbing. And he's got a few road bumps up ahead, starting with the infamous Wolf Creek Pass.
He's doing good. Good spirits. He had an effective ball movement, which is always a highlight for Dave, if you know him. So I think he's doing good, and there's a bunch of racers out in front of him that are all reachable by the end of today.
The challenge of the race, the challenge of preparation that leads up to the race, it's the challenge of putting a group of people together to help me do the race. And then I think the why is we got a beautiful country to ride our bikes across, and the scenery on a bicycle, Monument Valley, Gettysburg, I mean, historic places, the Navajo Indian Reservation, and you get to see that on a bike at a speed that you can enjoy those moments, even though you might be suffering.
While Dave was climbing, the crew prepped his next bike at the summit, also the location of the Continental Divide.
Okay, so this is on the right side, that's on the left side?
Wolf Creek was good. I don't remember it being so long, so I got like, you know, halfway up or 3/4 of the way up thinking I was at the top, and I still wasn't there yet, but that felt all right.
You did it.
I started tramping.
All right.
Well done, dude.
I don't remember that being so hard and so long.
Exhausted, Dave came in for a quick massage. He put on an extra layer, then embarked on his descent.
I know I'm just swerving back and forth using the tailwind to push me. Before I was swerving because I was falling asleep.
We got settled into going through those flat sections of Colorado, and again felt really solid and strong, and was able to move up on the field and move myself into you know, 4th place and then eventually 3rd place at that point, and felt like I was riding really strong. The high emotions are, man, we are cruising along fast and riding is easy, and I'm feeling super hydrated and everything is good and smooth, and then I probably become more talkative.
Well, I'm not going to tell you guys the thought I had Monday night, Tuesday night, and about 3 hours.
Maybe like not ever until like the race is over.
Jamming back and forth, like, this is great, check out this. I joke around a lot with him when that's the state.
Oh, this is a good one. This is a right side.
He's feeling good right now. He's got some shitty country music on. He's rolling. He's flying. It's good. It's good. All right, we'll see y'all.
After a quick stop and crew change in La Vita, Dave began a nearly 3,000-foot climb to the summit of Cachara Pass.
That's what I was getting at before.
Okay. Here, this one's gonna give you power.
Okay, that's all I need.
Okay, sounds good. You just make sure we're...
That's what I was looking at before.
Okay, so...
Is it all the way in?
Yeah, but let me just make sure that you're... You getting power? No. Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right, you ready to go?
Black and icy.
Black and icy. Take it when you're ready. All right.
Hey, some bone broth would be pretty cool.
Okay, hey, when we get a chance.
You ready, Steve? Who do you got with you?
I'm coming with
Jeric. Sounds great.
I'm not going to have a headset.
you know, that whole section is beautiful. There's an old ski hill that's been, you know, kind of abandoned there, and the scenery is really beautiful. There was a full moon out, so on the road, that's a beautiful section, of course, is climbing up Kuchara. And that climb was really good for me, that through Colorado. Usually I struggle a little bit on that particular climb, and it seemed like we went through it really quick and we were at the top, and my crew was supporting me. One of my crew members is a runner. He jumped out and ran next to me, and then we got to the top, and we would have had about a 17-mile descent with some crazy weather, so I decided that it would be good to sleep there and get some rest before we made that descent. And we did that, and it made good sense.
While Dave recovered in the ProMaster van, the crew tried to keep busy and keep warm in the cool, crisp Rocky Mountain air.
Here's a dirty one. Oh, okay.
But yeah, when I'm not done, here,
Okay.
or whatever.
Hey, you just leave it right there, it'll be fine.
Nikki prepped
$2
his
bet or
clothes.
whatever, or $5, yeah.
Walmart special.
Mm-hmm.
Dan serviced Dave's bike. And Charles heated up some food for Dave to have when he got up.
Grab that skull cap for me.
Oh yeah, I thought I grabbed one.
The ones that you came.
Thanks, guys.
You good?
Take care, man. Be careful.
All right, on you.
Last one.
Who's behind me?
got Charles driving.
Whoever's driving, stay as close as they're comfortable with.
All right, let's do it. Got it, Dave.
Yeah.
No, I didn't even know that's how it works.
Well, did you see that little?
I think when the race ends, that's what you feel the worst about, is that suddenly now you've got to do all your own stuff, right? Where before it was like someone hands you a bottle and you drink it, someone hands you food and you eat it, your bike is broken and it's fixed, someone tells you which direction to go, you know, turn left here. So when the whole race is over, I think that's mentally one of the most challenging parts of it, is all of that ends. And even when I have gotten to the finish line and you get there, you should have this great euphoric feeling of accomplishment, right? You've just done the toughest endurance race in the world. You've gone 3,000 miles on a bike, you've suffered. You get there, you should be in the most euphoric state, and you're not at all. It's completely the opposite. And I think because all of that great experience you just had for the last 9 days, 10 days is done. And now you're going back to everyday life. You know, you don't have those people jumping to help you and, you know, taking care of you like they do and cheering you on and supporting you, you know, and they are, right? It's just not like right there in your face like RAAM is. You know, when you got 3 vehicles rolling down the road, passing you constantly, cheering you on, there's something that's kind of uniquely cool about that. And I think there's a song, right? I still haven't found what I'm looking for. And I think talking to Christoph, who's won the race, and asking him about the same question, what are you looking for? We find that we get to the finish line and it should be the most exuberant time of our life. We're getting a great accomplishment. We finished the toughest endurance race at the best performance we could give. Yet we're still like, oh, I don't know if that was it. And so I think I hate to say it, because I don't think you can get balance, right? We're searching for, maybe we're just searching for what's out there in the unknown, and you find it some nights when you're out alone on the road in the middle of Colorado or Kansas, and you see things that, you know, remind you of a thing, and so you come back to the race to get to that spot, right? And find yourself, right? Mostly I think you're trying to find yourself.
What? Cody was just here resting. 6:09.
As Dave continues through Kansas, he enters a majestical evening.
It is, man. I took a look over there. I was like, wow. Of course, you're in Kansas, so you can look at that, and an hour later, it can be hail and black.
Yeah, no kidding. We were looking at the weather. It looks like there's weather coming from behind, but you're still good.
Excellent.
You beat it.
Well, if I'm ahead of it, I should catch some tailwind then.
Yeah.
We were using some analytics and things and measuring, you know, when the storms would hit, and I rode through Kansas really strong. We did sleep in Pratt, Kansas, and you know that decision was based on a storm moving in, and we wanted to, based on all the analytics we were doing with the race, the best point to sleep was Pratt, and it ended up, we watched the most amazing lightning storm as we were riding down the road, just blasting through the sky, this crazy lightning. It was beautiful. And as soon as I got off my bike in Pratt, it just downpoured, and I was sleeping in the motel room as my crew had to work on my bike, and just the worst weather, and we awoke to no more rain, and it was perfect timing to sleep. We really made a good race decision there.
Looking good. Clear. Thanks.
Today, Dave and the crew are excited to arrive in Fort Scott. Here, Dave will get the opportunity to see his aunt, who is driving down from Missouri just to see him along the route. And Time Station 30 is also right in front of the home of the RAAM superfan, Adam Ashwell.
We get happiness, pretty much. We love helping these guys. You know, they go through a lot to get here. And, you know, they spend a ton of money. And it's their dream to come here and do their race. But when they come here and they run out of supplies, we help them, man.
Oh, that was a great experience. You know, Fort Scott is Time Station 30, right? They're a famous time station. And every race I've done, I've never stopped there. I've always been pretty awake and wanted to rip through that area. But my aunt drove down from Missouri, from Lee Summit, Missouri, with some food for the crew.
Oh, that's really nice.
They can't do it without the crew, so that's the other thing.
It's nice that you
To bring food. I always come to bring food. Sandwiches and fruit and, coffee, cake, things not healthy. So they always like to see me just because I bring food.
And I wanted to make sure that at least I said hello to her and stopped. And then it was great to see, the Ashwells and the people at the time station, and just see the support that people give you out on the road. And so that's the first time I've kind of experienced that. I felt bad that I haven't stopped for my other RAAMs at that time station. I know a lot of racers stop there, and I never have, so it was just a good feeling to stop there.
Hey guys, how you doing? How y'all doing?
Good, how are you?
Great. Good, how are you?
Doing great.
You having fun watching?
Oh yeah, we all.
Chasing dots?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Until you got the Flagstaff, then you start chasing dots.
Then you do it yourself. Hey, nice race you had. Good job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That was awesome. Hey, what size jersey are you? I'll send you one of these new ones.
Oh, I'm a medium, medium.
All right.
Thank you.
You bet. Hey, look at there. There's Auntie Linda.
Hey.
She must have been speed racing.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
100 miles an hour down there.
Yeah, you can go 75, but my car goes 90.
Thank you. Love you.
I love you.
All right. And
Well, I got some good people with me, so it always makes it easy, right?
Can't do it without, like, it's unreal.
Hey, keep it up, Dave.
You're doing great.
Good job, Dave.
Those guys doing it. Yeah.
Go get it, Dave.
Save the stuff, Dave. Keep it up.
Keep it
You can do it.
Get him out of here, Steve.
Love you. Thank you.
Moving into the evening, the crew was becoming more familiar with using the technology Dave brought on board the race. At a crew changeover in Webelow, Missouri, they discussed their options.
the blue line is the cost of us stopping. So you want the blue line to be lower. So the lower it is, the less it costs us to sleep. So ideally we'd be stopping there, but that's like in like the next time station. So as long as we stop before time station 33, we're going to be doing well, because you want to have the blue line below the red line.
Mm-hmm.
And so 33 is Jefferson City. So if we stop right around there, we're getting about the best we're going to get. Because if we stop after time station 33, it's going to cost us more.
And that is based on wind or
It's
elevation?
wind,
what are the
elevation, humidity, temperature. There's one other variable.
So it crunches all those and comes up with a...
Yeah.
I got nothing.
You got it?
No. What are you going to think about tonight on the ride? What am I thinking about? Moving forward.
The effects of fatigue were starting to show in Dave as his spirits were lowering. With the intention of making it to time station 33 in Jefferson City, he takes off into the muggy Missouri evening. A few hours into the night, and the team was pulled over on a dark country road. At this point, Dave begins to show caution about his worsening condition.
Yeah, no worries.
When it gets really hard, then I become a little more silent because I'm trying to focus. And so your emotions, I think, are all of that, right? And then, you know, I've had moments where I've literally thought that as a car went by us or a flashing light or something that like I had guidance from maybe a friend or two have passed away who I rode with, or my mom looking out above. You have those, like there's an angel looking out for me, and I've got that going on. And then you have just other random crazy thoughts where it's like, this really sucks. I don't like this moment. It's no fun. And you try to work through those as fast as you can, because then you don't want to talk yourself into the race hurting and not being any fun.
Just gotta start yelling a little bit louder to turn it back on.
Dizzy or?
Give me a towel. Actually, these paper towels work.
Here you go.
Nicki.
This is going to be a challenging stretch right here. So
Yep.
Okay.
We'll keep you on. We'll keep
pay
on
attention.
comms.
Be
Keep you
awake.
Yep.
Be awake.
Yep.
I was struggling. That's where I started having a lot of hallucinations when I was riding. So it felt like, for the longest time, it felt like some dude was just hanging out of my peripheral vision, watching me ride my bike. You know, he was wearing khakis and a white t-shirt. I could in my mind, visualized it, and there was no one there, obviously. And then I was having a hard time keeping my bike straight on the road. Was having a hard time, you know, kind of staying awake. And then there were reflective signs on the steel barriers as we were riding. And I thought those were individual bikers racing, like we were in a pack racing, and I was passing them. So there was a lot of you know, things going on mentally in my head there, where it was certainly not happening. You know, a lot of illusions.
All right, thank you very much. And don't worry, this time I'll make sure to activate you guys.
Arriving at a hotel in Camdenton, the crew settles in at the end of another day.
Yep, Camdenton we slept. We came halfway through Camdenton and then stopped in Camdenton.
Joji bars?
Okay.
Watch out, watch out. Yeah. Yep, and they're right behind us.
Dave finally arrived in Jefferson City and pulled into time station 33, where the ProMaster van stood by. The follow vehicle and crew vehicle came in close behind. As Dave starts another day on RAAM, he's feeling uneasy on the bike.
That was all instinct, just pedal. I didn't know what I was seeing.
Yeah,
I thought I was going down. I thought I was going uphill the whole time, and we were going downhill. And all the time when I look to my left when I'm riding, it's like some dude is standing right next to me, and then he runs away.
Oh, you know I was on your left side up that hill, right?
What?
I was running up the hill with you?
I know that.
Okay, yeah.
And I couldn't get comfortable on the seat. I kept wiggling around. I wasn't sitting straight on the seat. And I wasn't sure what it was. I just thought I wasn't loose or my legs weren't loose. But then as we were riding, I noticed that my right arm seemed to be doing all of the work and steering and hanging on, and my left arm was just kind of hanging there. And so the reason I was moving around on my seat is I was kind of twisted. I wasn't sitting straight. And then it became very challenging to hang onto the handlebars with my right arm. And that's the arm I obviously drink with and pull my water bottles out of, and that's the arm I had some health issues with the last 2 years. And so I think my shoulder quit working and quit allowing me to steer my bike properly.
Yeah, right there's the big.
Yep.
Yeah, I have.
Man, this is really bothering me. Maybe we can loosen it up. And so we worked on it and loosened it up. And my two crew members at the time were Keelyn and Jake were there stretching out my shoulder. And it went from not being able to lift my arm at all to being able to get it above my head. And so we decided to hop back on the bike. But then as soon as I got back on the bike riding, it seemed like it just locked up again. And at that point, I was going to try to ride to Washington, Missouri, and then probably sit down and just say, I'm good and I'm done and finished with the race. But it would have taken a longer time to get there. As we left that spot and I was riding, I felt kind of this ease come over me. It was a really weird feeling, like I'm good if I don't finish this race, and this is a good spot to start, and I would rather be healthy and safe and not crash than try to suffer through some of that and worry about crashing. My biggest fear is I was going to crash. You know, it was the pain of my shoulder wasn't bad. It was more the control of my bike and being able to keep my bike on the road safely.
At time station 34 in Washington, Missouri, fans waited for his arrival as Dave met with his crew at a local coffee shop to deliver the news.
Thank you. So I got a shoulder issue that's causing me a little issues. And then I think after trying to get it solved, I realized I found what I was looking for. Thanks.
And as they stepped inside a Panera Bread, the 2019 attempt at the race across America came to an end.
So, whatever you want to order and eat, order and eat. But I'll warn you, we might eat again, right? A real food, real meal, we'll figure it out.